Have you ever been at a meal or out with your mates and you look around and you're ready for a conversation and everyone's on their phone?
Yeah.
We're all always craving connection. If you're in a room full of your mates, you can connect with your mates, but we're still looking at our phones. It's become an addiction. Welcome to Just Another Group Chat. Wait, why did we get giggly there?
It's the pressure.
All right. Anyway, the WBCo podcast. We have some lovely guests today. Well, not really guests anymore, yeah. Like co-hosts. Rolfie.
Yes.
Our lovely Laura. Han.
Yeah.
Today's podcast, we're talking about addiction.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. So I thought we'd go straight into it because we've got loads to say on this. Basically, when you think about addiction, what do you think about straight away?
Drugs.
Just drugs, no alcohol, just drugs.
No. Because I partake in the alcohol.
Yeah.
So I don't like to think of that as an addiction.
So you don't, no, but it's true. It's true. People are a bit like, just drugs.
You think about it as
heroin,
something that
don't you?
happens to other people.
Yeah.
Like,
like,
they're an addict.
Yeah.
So am I.
So I did a poll. We'll start with the poll.
Or the poll.
The amount of people that say this to me.
I know, you always say a Paul, and I'm
my best friends are like, Kim, when did you start saying Paul? I did a poll. I just rolled my eyes if you're not watching. Do you have an addiction? 81% of people said yes.
Ooh. That's 19% liars. See that quick maths I did there?
I said, have you ever thought about any of the following as an addiction? Phone, scrolling, working out, the gym, TV, porn, sex, or gambling?
All of the above.
94% of people said yes, that they've thought of those as an addiction before. I also asked, if you think about your friends and family, and there was 3 options, do most of them, you can pick, most of them have an addiction of some form, some of them have an addiction of some form, or hardly know anybody with an addiction. Basically, the interesting part is 6%, only 6% said they hardly know anyone with an addiction. Everybody else, there was 40% people said most of them have some form of an addiction.
Oh, wow.
When you think about your friends or family. I also asked, do you have an addictive personality? I gave a yes or no, and I don't know. So 22% of people don't know. They're not sure. 39%.
So that's a yes.
So that's a yes.
39% of people said yes. And then I asked about the strangest addictions that people have. So, shall we go through them now?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited.
/ frightened.
Yeah, me too.
There was a few, like cars, pasta. Obviously, you know what that one is, don't you? Checking Rightmove every day. Even though they don't need a house.
Looking
they're not looking.
Time Hop.
Yeah, Time Hop.
Yeah.
Stuff like apps. There's a girl here who genuinely has a real addiction to pens. She really struggles with, like, she has jars full of pens. It's an addiction that she just saves pens.
I mean, it sounds preferable to a lot of mine, so I wouldn't say it's that bad.
And one we'll come back to is attention. So kudos for this person to actually responding to that, because that's
what are the main
a lot.
attention?
Well, we'll come back to it because
okay.
Yeah, because it is a thing. But yeah, so I guess the first thing that we think about is like drugs, alcohol. I don't have an addiction. I'm not an addictive person. I'm not out of control. I don't have an addiction. But let's talk about it like realistically. What is an addiction? Are you hungry, Pen? Are you hungry? Sorry, I was stopping you from your breakfast.
I hope the mic picked that up. If it didn't, Laura's stomach is just like entered the chat.
I'm obviously not addicted to food. That's a whole difference.
All right, what's an addiction?
So I think of an addiction as like, isn't it like trigger, action, reward?
Yeah.
Or something.
Like
So,
crave
like,
action.
Yeah, so there's something that triggers your motivation to have something, and then you have it and you're like, this is lovely, whatever it is. But I also think of an addiction as being quite like an instant gratification thing.
Yeah. Immediate.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a stereotypical kind of
There you go.
thing here. I did it again.
Love it.
An addiction is an urge to do something that is hard to control or stop. I think that's a really good way of putting it. So when you use things like, there's basically 7 stages usually, or there's a load of, this is debatable. So, but some people say there's 7 stages: initiation, experimentation, regular use, risky use, dependence, addiction, and then crisis or treatment.
Oh.
So they're the 7 stages. So when we talk about things like drugs, alcohol, cocaine, heroin, all the rest of it, we kind of skip some of those first ones because you're using a highly addictive drug. Initiation, experimentation, and regular use
Happens very quickly.
Very, very, very quickly. So with heroin, it happens like almost instantly. I don't know, but this is what I've heard. I'm not a heroin
Confession
user.
corner.
But yeah, I think obviously as well, these drugs actually rewire your brain.
Yeah.
So we think of an addiction as like those things because they rewire your brain, and all of a sudden you get these highly addictive substances that take you to dependence straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't other things that we can be addicted to that we go through those 7 stages with. So regular usage, like there is, and also there's a dopamine kind of fix attached to a lot of addictions. So you get that, like you say, instant gratification. It's that like happy hormone.
See, I discussed this with Graham the other night, that the dopamine release that you get doesn't actually happen when you are indulgent in the addiction. It's the excitement that you are going to. So it's a bit like the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day thing. Christmas Eve is always better than Christmas Day, because when Christmas Day comes, it's like,
Yeah.
And that's the same with a lot of addictions. It's the same with exercise.
It's the high, isn't it?
It's the I'm going to feel better that actually releases the dopamine, not the actual act itself.
Yeah. There you go. Interesting.
Can't take credit for that. Graham Madison.
Nice one.
Carry on.
There you go. Yeah, so basically I think it's interesting. What I started to look at was, okay, if you've got those 7 stages, so we'll take drugs and alcohol and those kind of things out of the way, because none of us are drugs and alcohol experts, and we're not about to sit here and do a podcast based on that. There's help available. There is a lot of help available. There's a lot of even basic Google search. You can come up with absolutely all sorts. Specify your addiction and go through some of the channels and get help. But I think for some of the other unusual addictions, so I was chatting to Laura the other day and I'd said everyone's addicted to something. She was like, what? I was like, yeah,
I agree.
Everybody will be addicted to something. Not everybody, but a lot of people are addicted to something, but they might not even be aware of it. They're not aware of what they're addicted to. They're just not thinking about it like that. So
Because it's socially acceptable, probably.
yeah, socially acceptable.
So it's not highlighted.
Exactly. And it might have become a habit. So that regular use stage is just habit. And then what they don't get to is the realization that they're dependent on it. Yeah? To actually admit it's an addiction. So then I started to think, what's the difference between habit and addiction?
For me, habits more of a long-term thing. Like if you have good habits, I know you have bad habits as well, but like good habits like eating well and drinking lots of water and all that sort of stuff, you don't see the immediate results of that, but you see it over like a long-term period over a certain amount of time of like you drink 2 litres of water a day. You might feel better in the sort of immediate if you're flipping, your insides are like sand, but like overall it's a continuous sort of thing that you need to keep up rather
It's like
than
building up a system, isn't it? As opposed to like do something, feel this way.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's one of those things that you realise, you don't realise in the beginning when you start that habit that it could be unhealthy. You don't go into anything going, I'm going to continue to do this for the next week and realise it's unhealthy. None of us got mobile phones thinking we'd be scrolling for however many hours a day to the point where your phone has to put limits on itself. We didn't.
That could never have been imagined, really, could it?
No, that it's more that addictions are stronger by the fact that they can take over, and be aware originally that it might take over your obligations and responsibilities, and abilities to do everything during the day that you would normally do. Whereas habits that we're not aware of addictions, like you say, are socially acceptable, and we don't potentially realise that they are taking over our day until we think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I wanted to do this podcast, because I want everyone to challenge themselves and think about if there's something that they're addicted to that they're not sure of, or they don't know for sure. I've got some questions here to determine whether you have a habit or an addiction.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah? Should we do them?
Yeah.
So think about something that you think maybe you do a lot of. I'll read some of them out. So some of the usual ones that we're talking about, like sex, gambling, the internet, shopping, scrolling, video games and gaming, plastic surgery or changing your appearance, binge eating, food addictions, thrill-seeking activities, porn, coffee, shopping, gambling, sugar, lip balm,
Sounds like my
tattoos, getting
perfect
tattoos. So think about those kind of things. If there's any that stood out to you that think, oh yeah, I do that quite a lot. Ask yourself these questions, okay? First one, am I doing the behaviour more than I planned? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Second one, am I unable to stop engaging in that behaviour even if I want to? Third one, do I feel anxious when I'm unable to engage in that behaviour? Fourth, Hannah's face. Am I failing to fulfill personal obligations or responsibilities at the expense of that behaviour? Next one, are my loved ones confronting me about any behaviour or concerns? Next one, am I hiding this from anyone? Next one, have I ever experienced any withdrawal symptoms when I attempt to stop? If you answered yes to one or more of those questions, it might be time to have a look and realise that it's an addiction. That's the difference between habit and addiction anyway.
Yeah, fucked.
To go to the pub.
Yeah. To the bar.
I think it makes you realise when you put those questions into context, doesn't it, that even something like scrolling on your phone is definitely an addiction.
Massively.
Have you ever been at a meal or out with your mates, or where you have a night in with your mates and you look around and you're ready for a conversation and everyone's on their phone?
Yeah.
And you think, I'm literally in the room. Who's more important right now than us being right here? Like, what are you looking for? What are you searching for? And I've got Kaylee to thank for this, because every time we go anywhere, none of us dare look at our phones, because she outright just comes for us.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why are you on your phone?
Yeah.
What are you looking at? What's so important? Why are you on Instagram and why are you on Facebook? We're right here in the room. What are you trying to prove to somebody that you're having a nice time? Are you trying to look at somebody else having a nice time? What are you doing on your phone that's more important than being in the room right now? And it's pure habit to the point where it's affecting your social life.
It affects your social skills.
Affecting your social skills and affecting you having a nice time. Mm-hmm. It is literally affecting you enjoying yourself, because you just habitually come to your phone and scroll, even when your mates are in the room.
She's good, Kaylee.
I know,
she's very wise.
She is.
It's like, do you know, it's like a comfort though, isn't it? I think a lot of addictions are like either a crutch or a comfort, or it's familiarity.
Yeah.
And it's like you sometimes can't even function without having that crutch.
It is I think, it's a good way of putting it. Nice. Like, but do you know reasons for addictions?
Emotional damage.
Fucked up.
I'll go through some main ones. So, history of family addiction, drugs specifically, it can be genetic, which is mad. Drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
Specifically alcohol can be a genetic. You get a genetic disposition where your brain can easily be rewired by alcohol, or more easily be rewired by alcohol than somebody whose genetics don't. So it's literally, you can be genetically, if your parents are alcoholics or their parents, be aware of it yourself, because you might have that.
You see it in families all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
do.
sometimes argue, you know, is it just what you used to?
Is it nature or nurture at
So
that
it's
point?
Yeah.
it's what
But
you've
there is
seen all
that-
your life. So
yeah.
why would you not think that was normal?
But there is a genetic
Yeah.
predisposition as well.
Wow.
Genetic. Mental health, peer pressure, lack of family involvement, early usage, and taking highly addictive drugs are some of the reasons that people start with addictions. They're just very vague, aren't they, those? There's a gazillion reasons. And there's a lot of personal reasons why I think people do it. But all right, so talk to me about your addictions then.
Oh, I've got millions. I think
So you just had a crutch. What do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
it's a almost a comfort, or a, if I do this, I will feel better, or I can cope if I do this.
So
No matter what's happening, if I do that, the shitness will get a bit less.
Is it a bit like a get out of jail free card? You know, when you're feeling particularly shite and you're having a really hard time and you're really stressed or you're really upset or whatever, and you go and do that thing, even if it's just for a short period of time,
Yeah.
you don't feel like that anymore because you feel, it's like you say,
you're chasing
it's a crutch,
something,
isn't it?
You're
Yeah.
chasing a bit of a high. You're chasing the feel good. Yeah, you want to feel good again. You want that feeling of feeling good, and something, whatever that crutch is or whatever that addiction or whatever, it makes you feel good. Or you just want to feel normal, and you don't feel good at all, and you just want to feel normal. So you're either feeding something or you're escaping something.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that fair to say?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I have a quite unhealthy balance of both.
So this is the question. I think, ask yourself, which one is it? Are you trying to feed something, or are you trying to escape something? With your addictions, with what you're trying to do, are you escaping a reality? Are you escaping the present? What is it that you're trying to do? Or are you trying to feed a feeling and emotion that you need more of?
It's getting very deep.
We're getting deep, aren't we? I know what to
For
do.
me, I'm escaping. Like when I go out and the drink and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and not that I wouldn't say I was addicted to alcohol. I don't drink. Well, I don't know. It depends, because you binge drink on a weekend. It's, you know, it is what it is. But like, it's either that or sit in the house by myself
With your
and
thoughts.
with my thoughts. Don't like them.
So it's an escapism.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, when I drink, I don't drink to get drunk. I drink to numb,
So
So
still
mine's
an
an
escape.
but in a different way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of mine, I'm a bit of both. So the addictions that I have, I'm doing it again, addictions.
There's one.
And I'm saying it, yeah. But I shouldn't do this because I need to be more aware that it is an addiction that I have or whatever it might be. So if it is, I'm quite addicted to work.
Oh my God. Breaking news. Unbelievable.
Shock. And if I do check my phone, it's because I'm thinking, what's happening with work? What's going on with work? My brain automatically and that for me is definitely an escapism from like personal life, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But I also have one or two things that I definitely kind of gravitate to that gives me a little bit of a high. I used to, more so than now. I think because I've recognised them and realised them, I don't have those things anymore. Because simply recognising that I'm chasing a high off whatever it was, what I was doing or whatever it might be, I'm a bit like, oh wow, that's a bit, recognising that and realising it has made me realise I need to work on whatever it might be that's making us feel good about that situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's why I personally believe that having a food addiction is one of the most dangerous addictions you can have.
Yeah.
100%.
Because you can't, and I believe, I don't know whether it's been scientifically proved, that you have a genetic predisposition to this, because I have a food addiction, my mum has a food addiction, her mum had a food addiction.
Yeah.
And it's, if you, and I'm not trying to simplify drug addiction, but if you are addicted to heroin, you can stop taking heroin and survive. You cannot not eat.
Yeah.
So you have to manage that addiction. I nearly did it. You have to manage that addiction in order to stay alive.
And you have it everywhere around you.
And it's socially acceptable. If I walked in and had an apple, nobody's going to look twice. You can do it. It's socially acceptable. You need it to stay alive, but to keep that manageable, if you are addicted to that thing, and you either do it to escape or you do it to feel a certain feeling, it's the hardest addiction.
Yeah.
And let's face it, is the number one cause of obesity is the number one cause of cancer in this country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So smoking, everyone demonizes. But hang on a minute, what about it? People who are addicted to food are actually doing themselves more damage with food than they are statistically with smoking.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? I think if it is that recognizing it, and we do sound like we're in some kind of addiction group now, but recognizing and accepting, I think, is a major step to kind of thinking, all right, okay, I'm going to do something about this. And I think from my point of view, what I've thought of recently is looking around friends, family, people, and I'm thinking, oh wow, they're addicted to that and they don't know it.
Yeah,
that's
scary.
what's I found the most interesting. They are really addicted to that feeling. So that person over there is addicted to texting boys, for example. That person over there is addicted to some people even are addicted to their own misery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a massive
It's
thing.
a massive one, isn't it? I don't know. There's a lot that I've looked at. The phones is a big one.
Yeah.
That I've noticed and it is a dopamine hit that you get. You get an actual like gratification. Same with gaming on your phones, or there's a lot of addictive behaviours that we don't recognise as because they are socially acceptable.
Every single one of us in our age group has been addicted to at least one game on their phone.
Oh yeah.
Ask a question. Does it disrupt your sleep? Does your phone ever disrupt your sleep?
Oh, yeah.
As in, do you sometimes spend 2 hours on your phone at night instead of going to sleep?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Should I tell you something really bad?
Yeah, go for it.
It is bad. Sometimes I wake up in the night because I'm in my 30s now, and apparently you don't sleep through the whole night when you're in your 30s. Like either to go to the toilet or just to wake up or whatever it is, and I'll check my phone.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
loads
I
of
do.
people.
At 3:30 in the morning. Who's messaging us at 3:30 in the morning?
Yeah,
me
Nobody.
sometimes.
Well,
And
when
what
you're
is
up.
it? So we'll go through this then. What is it that you're looking for?
I don't know. Is it FOMO? Like, am I worried
Is it
that
a
I've
habit?
missed something?
Is it a habit?
I just, I don't need to check the time because I've got a clock.
What are you
like-
expecting to see on your phone? A
I don't know.
notification?
Yeah.
So if there's a notification on there and you got a notification, would that give you that little instant, oh yeah, I've got a notification?
Yeah, do you know why? Because it makes us think that people are thinking about us.
And it's
Yeah.
it's connection.
yeah, which
It's
I've
about-
already said is what I need.
So as as humans, we're all always craving connection. That's humans. That's what we're about. So that's why these things, these phones that have been put in our hands that give us the ability to connect at any point in time during the day, even if it's 3:00 in the morning, gives us, that's why we're constantly looking for that. But if you're in a room full of your mates, you can connect with your mates, but we're still looking at our phones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's become an addiction.
Because you can control it. So if you don't want the attention, turn it off.
Yeah.
If you do want the attention, you can instantly get it from.
Do you know what I think everyone should do? Always turn notifications off.
Yeah, mine are off.
Because
But
you won't check for 3:00 in the morning if you didn't have notifications on.
No, but I do though.
Do you?
Yeah, so I haven't got notifications
The
on like
unicorn doesn't?
Instagram and stuff because I've got the business one, and then there would just be a million
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
through all
yeah.
the time. So I'll check it probably even more so than I would if I had a notification, because I'm always like, I wonder if anybody's.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so there's the flip side of that where it's
Right.
like,
You haven't got your notifications on, for therefore you have to check.
yeah.
The unicorn doesn't have his on
Right.
because he's very good at this.
Yeah.
Because he said he'll read his messages and he'll talk to people when he wants to.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to be notified that somebody's messaged him. If
God,
he
I wish
wants
I
to
could have.
tell us about it.
That's not my position,
I'm
unfortunately.
like, please talk to me.
I don't have that option.
Here's an interesting one. Do you think you'd be addicted to people?
Hang on, though,
Yes.
2 seconds. But that in that sense, that's just landed in my brain. In that sense, does he never think anybody ever needs him? Does nobody rely on him for anything?
No. Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it?
Wow.
He doesn't want to be relied on.
Ah. I find it nice that people.
I love
I
feeling
do.
needed.
I do.
I find that nice. It's a nice feeling in existence to
Yeah.
feel that you're connected enough to need
And if you
that
wake
somebody else needs you.
Yeah.
If
I
you
think
wake up
that's
in the
nice.
morning and you've got a load of messages, you're like, oh, what the heck? But then you're like, do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You pretend almost to yourself that you're like, oh, who wants to this, that, and the other from us now? But you're like, well,
Yeah, and you still
You
go and
do.
do it for them. Or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
It is. Like,
100%.
Go about you. Addicted to people.
yeah.
What do you mean?
So this is my theory, right?
100%.
Love. Is it a selfless act of loving somebody else in their entirety,
Mm-hmm.
or is it an addiction to how they make you feel?
Ooh.
Oh, I was thinking about this and I was like, is it just a lie? it all
I think it
just
can
a
be.
lie?
I think it can be both.
Yeah.
I've been addicted to people for good and bad reasons. I've been addicted to people, and then I've thought, am I addicted to the pain? Because it's comforting. Because I know this person is toxic. I know this relationship is toxic, but it's familiar.
Yeah.
So every time I see him, I feel like death. This happens, that happens, the other happens, but I can't remember anything else.
Mm-hmm.
This was at the time, years and years ago. So I was either addicted to him as a person, or I was addicted to what he caused, which in effect was pain, because it was familiar and it was all I could remember.
Sometimes I don't think, and you might recognise it as pain now, but is it not that fight and flight response?
Potentially.
Is it not that buzz of endorphins that gives you that, that makes you feel like you're living on the edge?
Yeah, I did very much live on the
Yeah.
edge.
Yeah. So it's more that fight or flight response, that immediate, that changes everything physiologically in your brain. It changes your digestion, it changes your breathing, it changes everything, that fight and flight response. And if some people like to live like that, some people do enjoy living like that.
I think as well, though, what is worth noting is that some of the effects never ever go away.
Mm-hmm.
So I came out of this relationship 12, 13 years ago, but there are still things today that I can't, like, for example, I've got a roller shutter door on my garage, and I can't put the shutter up when I'm stood outside. I have to be in my car or in the house, because the noise of it reminds us instantly of being at home, and we used to have one, and it was him coming home.
Right.
Holy shit, that's some trauma.
So I still can't,
Yeah.
like, I can't, you know, when you put the bin out, I've got to put me shutter up while I'm in the house, because I'm not
It's
connected
just-
to it.
you don't want to hear
And it's
that.
quieter. It's weird.
Yeah.
Is it
Same with doors opening, you know, especially fire doors. You know, that almost suction noise that makes us go every
Does
time,
it?
even unconsciously.
Yeah.
And it's all from that. So from that addiction, you've got like
Such a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
13 years later,
Yeah.
which is mad.
Yeah.
But so, like, it's weird, isn't it? Sometimes I think about people that I've been involved with, and I know it goes back dating. I mean, I'm obviously addicted to flipping shagging and that. No, I'm not. No. Well,
Addicted to shagging.
I might be. Don't listen, ma'am. But like, I look back on some people who I thought I was in love with at the time, and I reflect on it, and I think, was I actually in love with you, or was I just in love with how you made us
Yes,
feel?
yeah.
And I was in love with those endorphins that you gave us when you gave us like a snippet of your time.
And also,
Yeah.
in those scenarios, I've been in a scenario like that before, and in those scenarios, you almost make up in your brain, you fill in the gaps, don't you? With your brain, and you're like, it becomes something in your brain that it's actually potentially not. And you can make that person be somebody completely different to who they actually are.
Totally romanticize them, and then you're like, why didn't it work? And they were perfect, and this, that, and the other. And then when you get a bit of clarity and a bit of space, you go, well, they were fucking irritating.
Yeah, so guys, if guys are listening, girls tend to do this.
Oh, yeah,
They
we
will
do.
fill in the gaps and romanticize, and yeah, it is one of those things that can happen. When you say addicted to people, though, I've just thought that, oh no, I get what you mean, but I do feel like my love for my child, for example, is very selfless, and you do. And then I was thinking, nah, it's not really about how she makes me feel. So I can't possibly be addicted to her. And then I thought, actually, there's a lot of people that are addicted to their kids.
But is a little bit of it not about how she makes you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
There's
feel
a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of it. But there's more to it than that. I think there's a lot of it. And do you know, as a new parent, I do have to be very aware, and this might sound strange, but hopefully there's at least one parent listening that'll relate. I do have to be very aware that I can't put all of my joy into Adeline, because it would be so easy to do, because she's such a joy and she creates so much happiness for me. But I don't
get it from elsewhere as well.
But I have to make sure that I get that from all walks of life, because otherwise I could grow up relying on her to be the thing that and then I'll become obsessed with her and everything. Do you know what I mean?
Too much pressure for her.
It is pressure. And you hear about parents that have children where the kids grow up and they say, oh, I was my mum's absolutely everything and it destroyed me. And do you know what I mean? And when you talk about that, I think, oh God, I don't want to do that. But
it can be really damaging.
Look at Norman Bates.
I mean,
that stepped out a little bit too far there. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's one of them things, isn't it? That actually the theory could be true. Could be true. Are we just all chasing a high, even in love?
yeah,
Maybe.
100%.
Or is it?
There's a reason people chase highs, though.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Because it's class.
because the mint.
Like, having a buzz is mint, isn't it?
But
it's like,
isn't that, was it Buddha or some other wise person said that you shouldn't fall in love? If you feel like you've fallen, that's not love. Maybe that's the addiction.
maybe.
The being in love should be, you shouldn't have butterflies, you shouldn't feel weak need, you should feel calm and at peace.
Yeah.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. You should feel like, secure and
we've all had that
happy.
like tumultuous love affair where at the time you're like, oh my God. And then when you look back at it, you're like, what a bucket of shit that was.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know whether I was Arthur or Martha. I didn't know where I stood. I didn't know and I think if you look back on those relationships where you did feel that calmness, that safety, that neutrality almost, it's been a lot more secure and a lot more healthy than the whole, I'm so head over heels in love with you.
Yeah.
Very cynical.
So do we think if someone's out, so how do we get people to question what they're addicted to?
They need to want to first.
No, but just in general, if people are sat there listening thinking, oh, I wonder if I'm addicted to anything. What? So my thing would be, what do you spend your time doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you spend your time doing? I'm not talking about smoking. I'm not talking about like, what do you enjoy doing? What do you go, oh, I just need 5 minutes. I just want to do this. Because some people go, I just want to sit on the toilet on my phone. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever it might be. People take their phone to the toilet and scroll on the toilet. Like, like, I don't know. It's just.
It's me TikTok time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What else do we spend our time doing? What do you spend your time craving, looking for? So again, attention. So we've talked about this. Are you addicted to attention?
A lot of addictions, I feel like, have a secondary addiction to attention. So, for example, there are so many people addicted to mourning and addicted to negativity because they just want somebody to listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that an addiction to mourning or is it addiction to attention? Because you don't just mourn in an empty room.
Yeah.
So it's that attention of, oh, who are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there is like mourning, attention, dating and kind of messaging people on dating apps and stuff. Like I know
We've all been there.
well, I know somebody who basically is continually looking for that high that you get when you're in a new relationship. Like that constant like
I hate me.
like and you can see when they're texting.
And she's sitting right there.
I'm not talking about Hannah, but do you feel like that?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you know? But say I'm not.
You with me?
I know. But this person who I'm thinking of is very obviously like on their phone, smiling, buzzing when they've got a message. Like, oh God, and you can see their buzz. You can literally see it, and you're like, oh wow. And then I don't know, 3 days later or 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, somebody else. Oh, and that you can see the buzz again. And I am talking about you now, Anna. I mean, I wasn't.
1,000,000%.
I wasn't, but as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it might not even be texting. It might be in real life. Like the joker of the room. What are they craving? What are they trying to get? Oh God, I'm not talking about you guys. Honestly,
She's
I'm
coming
not
for us now.
I'm
It's
not
'cause we were
coming
talking
for you.
about you
I'm
earlier,
not
wasn't
coming
I
for you.
insane. Just because you're an intellectual.
We're into
My name is Kim and
I'm having none of this. None of it.
Sorry.
Do you know what always reminds me though? There's a scene in Friends, where Phoebe dates a psychologist and he says to Chandler, but what happens when the laughter stops?
Yeah, and he's like,
It makes my stomach go boop every single time.
Does it?
Because that's why I do it.
Yeah.
That's why I make a dick of myself and go out of my way to make people laugh. Because when people aren't laughing,
It makes you uncomfortable. So you're addicted to that feeling of a good atmosphere.
Because when it's not, I've just me and my thoughts, no thanks. Nope.
So it is. I think we come back to the same thing every time, don't we? With any addiction. So this is the same with drugs, alcohol, what have you. You are either trying to escape something or you're trying to feel normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I say feel normal, I mean, you might already feel so low that you just want to bring that high up enough to feel normal, or you want to feel a high. You kind of already do feel all right every day, and you want to feel even amazing. You want to feel incredible.
Yeah.
So you chase. I feel like there's a chase. You're feeding, or you're trying to hide. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So from my point of view, I think whatever you are addicted to, whatever it is that you're gravitating to subconsciously, think about whether you are feeding something or whether you're escaping something. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Like, are you trying to, I don't know if you're addicted to attention or feeling, if you're addicted to a person, a boy, or whatever, a girl, or whatever it might be, what does that feeling do for you? Does it make you feel loved? Does it make you feel sexy? Does it make you feel excited? Like, what does it do for you? And is that in those scenarios, it might be feeding your ego or your self-conscious or your, like, what are you feeding? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you are constantly scrolling on your phone, is it because you want some peace from your own thoughts? Is it because are you escaping the reality of your life? Are you scrolling on Instagram to see what's possible in life to escape from your reality? Or are you feeding a need for connection that you might, what is it, and what does that connection make you feel? Does it make you feel loved? So essentially for me, when I did this the other day, it all comes back to the same thing of feeling loved. When I did it with almost every addiction that I could think of, it comes back to feeling wanted or needed or loved or good about yourself in some way, shape or form. And I guess from there, you can then say, right, how else can I do this? How else can I feel good? How else can I feel loved? How else can I feel? If it is a self-esteem thing that you're trying to feed, work on your self-esteem.
How do you do that?
Yes,
though?
I know. Tell
Because
us about,
people say
please.
this and they'll say, you need to work on this and you need to love yourself and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but how? How do you do it? Like, give us the step by step.
If you hate
you
hate yourself,
Yeah.
This is extreme. And I actually said this out loud yesterday. I said, do you know what? Hating yourself is exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
So how do you go from waking up in the morning and hating everything about yourself
Yeah.
to not?
You have to, if you're at that complete point of sheer hating yourself, you have to start somewhere. One thing a day. It's one thing. That's all you have to do. One thing. Tell yourself something that you've done well or that you like about yourself. One thing a day. Just one thing to start with. It might be, I've got nice eyes. And you might say that 20 times to yourself in the day. I've got nice eyes. I've got nice eyes. And then you might go in the mirror and you might look at yourself and think, my eyes look nice. I've got a beautiful colour eye. Look at that colour eye. Isn't that lovely? 20 times in the day. Just one thing. It's all it takes. Just one thing. And then the next day. And you might do that for 2 weeks because you might not be able to think of anything else. But then at some point you change that to something else. I've got nice hair. I quite like my hair. And then for the rest of the day, I'm going to do my hair nice today. I'm going to do something good with my hair every day this week. I'm going to wash my hair.
Yeah, that would maybe be a good start.
I'm going to wash it. And do you know what? I'm even going to book a haircut. I'm going to go and get my haircut because I deserve to appreciate my nice thick hair, my lovely hair. And then again, you change it to something else. I've actually got quite nice nail beds. Laura likes my nail beds.
I do. I'm obsessed.
So I've got quite nice nail beds. So again, tell that to yourself every single day. Wake up. When you wake up, what is the one thing that you're going to tell yourself? You might then spend the rest of the day telling yourself, I hate my hair, I hate my dress, I hate my legs, I hate my thighs, I hate my cellulite, I hate my arse, or whatever it might be. But I like my eyes. But just focus on that one thing, 2-3 days, even a week if you need to, and then switch it up and change it to something else. And you will find that as you say, I like my eyes, you might start wearing your mascara. As you say, you like your hair, you will start to wash your hair. As you say, actually, I quite like my, I don't know, hands, you might get your nails done. You start to look after those elements and those things about yourself. And you start to appreciate them more than when you see them. If you, trust me, if you spend a week looking in the mirror, telling yourself you've got nice eyes, every time you look at your eyes going forward, you will see an appreciation that you have nice eyes. Every single time.
I think that's the first time anybody's actually articulated how to start doing something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Because people say all the time, oh, do the work and work on this and work on that.
Don't put your self-esteem in other people's hands.
Yeah.
Well, how do you take it back?
Do it?
How?
But that makes a lot of sense. And it's not, I mean, it's probably very hard for some people to do in the beginning, but like...
It is hard.
Once the stone starts rolling, like you're all right.
And then you have to eventually get to a point where you say, like, you ignore that voice that says, I've got horrible toes or whatever. I have got horrible toes. But I don't listen to that person that tells me I've got horrible toes. I'll listen to the person that says I've got nice nail beds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think as well, yeah.
Yeah, go on.
No, I think it's about, I read somewhere that it's about gratitude, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I am grateful for my nice eyes, because you can't feel grateful and anxious at the same time.
No.
Is that true?
Yep. Your brain can't do both.
And if you are really, really, really struggling with that and you think, I can't think of one nice thing, genuinely, and you're really struggling and you're at complete rock bottom and you think, I can't think of one nice thing that I like, ask somebody else.
Yeah, come here, we'll tell you.
Ask somebody else and say, just, what do you like about me? You don't have to be, just say, do us a favour, just tell us one thing that you think is nice about me. What do you like about me? And they'll tell you. And you repeat that to yourself. If it takes 3 months for you to believe what you're saying, keep going.
Do you know what the funniest thing that makes us think of? I remember in here, somebody once said to me, and it was the most bizarre thing, and I would never, ever have thought about it. And one of the girls who works in here said to me, I love your hairline.
Ah.
And I went, I'm sorry? And she went, when you wear a ponytail, you've got a really good hairline. She was like, I've got loads of baby hairs and stuff, and I can't wear my hair like... Yeah. She's like, every time you wear your hair in a ponytail, I sort of think, I love your hair.
And do you know when you put your hair in a ponytail?
I think about it all the time.
There you go.
Because I'm like, shit.
That's what it means by doing the work yourself. You have to tell yourself those things on repeat
to
the point where you believe them. So to the point where it has the same impact as if somebody else had said it to you once.
Yeah.
That's all it is believing in yourself, trusting in yourself, and accepting what you say means something. But it takes a while sometimes to do that.
Get addicted to doing that.
Yeah. One thing a day. So I think...
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'd massively suggest it. And I think it can get to a point, we go through things like body image and stuff. And I think, when somebody tells you you're sexy, it's like, oh, I'm sexy. Like the whole of me is sexy. They see me as a sexy person. And you might not see yourself as a sexy person. So again, it's like, all right, what makes you feel sexy? Wearing matching underwear. Whatever it might be, wearing fishnets, whatever it might be that makes you feel sexy, do more of that. At once in my working on my self-esteem thing, I chucked all my underwear out, all of it, chucked it all in the bin, and I was like, I will rather go commando going forward than not wear matching underwear every single day going forward. Or not just matching, but sexy, nice underwear.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel good. Because it makes you feel sexier.
You've also,
when you think makes you feel more confident.
When you think about it as well, any member of the opposite sex or whoever you're attracted to, if you say, what do you find sexiest about me, or most attractive, should I say, they never really say something physical. Mm-hmm. It's always if you're confident. Mm-hmm. And that's why people who are not stereotypically beautiful or hot or whatever, people are like, oh, she's really fit. And it's always their confidence that you're attracted to. So if you're a quivering fucking wreck and you're like, oh, I fucking hate myself, nobody's going to think, oh,
I'll have a bit of that.
Hot stuff. But we'll get ourselves into that, like, I'm the worst offender for it. You get yourself into that, oh, I'm horrible, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever. And you think, well, if you tell yourself you're a duck, you're a duck, you're a duck, you're a duck, eventually you'll start a quack. Mm-hmm. But then if you start to walk like a duck and talk like a duck and act like a duck, people will just think you're a duck. Mm-hmm. So if you begin to act in a confident way and you begin to feel that you're confident, people will just think you're confident.
Yeah.
if you,
I like a good duck analogy, if you can't tell.
That was great. That I was proper into that there. I was like,
Ducks everywhere.
am I a duck? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think things like that as well help. Like change your underwear if it makes you feel good. Chuck them all out. Start again.
Always change your underwear.
Change your underwear
At
every
least
day.
daily, please.
But no, I mean, chuck them out and start again. The underwear that you don't want to be, put it this way, if you're going to go on a date, do you put different underwear on?
No, because I did, when I moved home, I did a similar thing and took all me and got lovely, like, I mean, they're all black, obviously. So it all matches, which is mint.
Yeah.
But it's like all like quite like nice, like lacy and lovely fabric and stuff. So like, I would just wear the same.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But it's like, say for me, I'm the same now. Like I don't really have like, and if I don't know, if I've got a bra that I think is getting a bit scratchy and old now, I'm like, no, I'm going to go and get a new one. Get a new bra. And I'm going to feel good about it. So I think there's a few different things that you can do that helps with your self-esteem, with your confidence, that can really just like that's what it means by do the work, I think. Yeah. That's my version of do the work anyway.
Yeah, it's a good version. I like it.
Okay, so what are we going to do about our addictions? How are we going to stop them? How are we going to change them?
Well, I mean, I've mentioned once or twice before, I am addicted to nicotine. It's difficult because I feel like I know I'm addicted. I'm aware. Well, I am addicted. But I'm not in the position where I want to give it up yet.
So what's the high that you're chasing with nicotine? Is it literally the nicotine high? Because it gives you a high. Mm-hmm. So what is it that it gives you a pick-me-up? It gives you a little bit of a... It's the same with coffee. People who are addicted to coffee or sugar. Yeah. Why are you having that piece of chocolate? Because you're addicted to sugar. Why are you having that sweet or whatever it might be? You're addicted to that little buzz that it gives you. It's a chemical reaction sometimes. These things are chemically happening in our brain.
But then it's been proven, and I am the biggest addict, probably more than you, to nicotine. And I have been in one way or another since I was 14. But it's been proven, like I'm like, it chills us out. It's been proven that nicotine actually increases your anxiety.
More stress, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yet, and I like to think of myself as an intelligent person, but I'm like, nah.
I'm going to ignore all the evidence.
You.
No. Nope.
Going to ignore all that.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy. It ruined my life.
Yeah. I just think, ask yourself what you're chasing or what you're avoiding.
Life. In both respects.
But it is. But if that's the point, then, okay, so what do we do instead? Like, I think there has to be, with any addiction, there has to be some understanding of what's so bad about my reality that I'm escaping so much from. And like just being present for 2 minutes and looking around and thinking, like, this is my reality. What am I scared of? What am I trying to avoid? Do you know what I mean?
What am I looking for?
And what am I trying to get to?
Cigarettes for me, it depends what context I'm in, like, because I can have one in the morning when I'm pretty chilled out, unless it's been a particularly rough drive, which is rare. And have one because I enjoy it and it gives us that 5 minutes of peace. Or we can have maybe a stressful meeting in here or something, then I need to go out and have one to calm down. Like, not calm down.
Yeah.
I mean, well, sometimes I'm a bit ratchet. Let's call a duck, shall we?
Let's call a duck, panic.
And then sometimes on a night, if I'm sitting watching telly, I'll have one because I've got nothing else to do. So I guess it kind of fluctuates depending on where I am and what I'm doing.
And it becomes habit, doesn't it?
But it's a bit more complex then, isn't it? Because you're fighting on a lot of different fronts then. And what I always worry about is when I do quit smoking, what's going to replace it?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be because I do have an addictive personality. Yeah. So what is it going to be? And is it going to be more detrimental? I love how both of you looked at me tattoos there as I did that. I wonder what it could be, Hannah. I wonder, is it going to be food? Because the couple of times that I've quit for a period of time, I've put a lot of weight on.
Hang on, because you're talking like you don't have a choice. You're talking like it's out of your control.
Well, that's the point of addictive personality.
No, yeah, but it's not. You can have addictive personality and then still go, all right, okay, I'm going to channel this into something good and I'm going to get a tattoo going. I'm going to get a tattoo going and I'm going to and I'm going to channel it that way around, and I'm going to say, right, I'm going to do this for other people, and I'm going to, you can channel this in the right way and go, right, what is going to replace this? I'm going to decide what's going to replace it, and what am I trying to chase and trying to fill? It is that little high that you get when you get a tattoo, or when you get, all those different bits and bobs. So therefore you might get that by doing it to somebody else, and you can then chase that and still have that without it being an unhealthy habit or addiction.
Yeah.
You can control it, and you can decide. You don't have no decision in this.
Probably can now that I'm more conscious of it. I think if you were talking it was 10 years ago, I'd have just been like,
yeah,
I wouldn't have. Yeah, it's a good point.
Take control.
If anybody wants to make any suggestions of what I can replace my nicotine addiction with,
Biscuits.
I am addicted to biscuits. If there's a biscuit on the table, I'll eat it, and I'll not even ask a question about where it's from.
Or who's it belong to?
I couldn't give a shit. I love them so much.
That is true.
We could go on and on and on about this, I think. We might even need to do a part 2. So we're going to wrap that up there. But yeah, thank you for being wonderful guests.
Thank you.
I hope this has helped people. Like I say, if you are struggling with any kind of addictions, there is help out there. Even if it is your phone, you can get help out there. There's loads of kind of different tips and tricks. Just Google and have a little look, and there's loads of support out there. So yeah, and question it, think about it, try and figure out what you're chasing, what you're escaping, reflect, and then also, help with your self-esteem. Do the self-esteem thing. And we will see you next week on Just Another Group Chat.